Hi, I'm Dulcie and welcome to the Undo Summer School. So, while Yemi's off spending time with her brilliant daughter this summer, I will be here with you every Monday for a special solo series that brings together real-world tools, soulful insight, and just enough structure to help you lead like the kind of manager you always wish you had. This is free leadership learning for people in the middle, the glue, the ones that hold everything together. Today, we're starting with something big. Burnout isn't a leadership style. So I'm going to talk about what burnout really looks like, how to spot it early, and crucially, how to begin the process of healing, even when life keeps moving. In every episode, we're going to move through 3 lessons, one for your heart, one for your head, and one for your hands. The heart lesson is all about the truth, the lived experience, what it feels like, what it brings up and why it matters. The head lesson is about insight, research, reframing, and having a deeper understanding from the world of psychology, leadership, and work. And then finally, the hands lesson is where we get practical. So this is where I'm going to give you the tools, habits, and actions that you can take with you. Okay, let's get going. So for today's heart lesson, I'm going to share a bit about how my burnout didn't look like a collapse. When I burned out, it wasn't dramatic. I wasn't sobbing on the bathroom floor. Well, not all the time. I didn't disappear from work. If I'm really honest, I didn't even realize it was burnout. Not at first, anyway. I was still performing, still smiling, still showing up. But inside, I was numb. I felt detached. Sometimes I would open my laptop and just stare at it. I was tired, bone deep tired all the time, but also wired in a really weird way. And I remember thinking, if this is what successful feels like, I don't know if I want it. And that is the reality of burnout. For some people, it doesn't look like a complete and utter collapse. In some people, it looks like competence. It looks like coping. It looks like functioning, but they're not feeling. It looks like they're doing more, but underneath it, they're caring less and less. So if that resonates, please keep listening. So our head lesson today is what burnout really looks like. We've normalized saying things like, oh, I'm burnt out. But what we most times mean is I'm overwhelmed or I'm tired. Burnout is deeper than that. The World Health Organization classifies it as an occupational phenomenon with 3 key traits: emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and a reduced sense of accomplishment. So, as you can see, it's a lot more than just being tired. That's a really helpful way to think about it, but you can actually go a little bit deeper, and I want to talk through the work of psychologists Herbert Freudenberger and Gail North. Now, Yemi and I covered this in great detail during season 1, so you can go back and hear a lot more about burnout. But I did want to touch again on the work of these 2 psychologists because they outlined 12 stages of burnout. You don't need to go through all of them in this order to be burnt out, but I think it is valuable to hear each one because you might recognize yourself in more steps than you would imagine initially. So just really quickly, here are the 12 stages of burnout. 1, compulsive ambition, which is overcommitting to prove your worth. 2, working harder. You're taking on more than you can handle at this point. 3, you start neglecting your needs. You are sacrificing rest, relationships, and self-care. 4, avoiding conflict. You start blaming external factors instead of addressing root issues. 5, revising your values. Now, this is when you retroactively alter your personal values in order to match your current work goals. 6, denying problems. Here you are insisting that you're fine, even though the stress is mounting. 7, withdrawal. At this point, you're avoiding social connections and you're starting to isolate yourself. 8, concerning others. This is when your friends and family notice and become increasingly concerned by behavioural changes. This one really hits me quite hard because when I was going through my burnout, and I didn't even realize that that was what it was one of my closest friends who did realize what it was. And he slipped me the number to call. We worked together to call for occupational health and to get the care that I needed at the time. And I'm ever grateful for him noticing something that I think I was ignoring. Number 9, depersonalization. This is when you start to feel detached from yourself and from others emotionally. 10, a sense of emptiness. This is where you experience increasing loss of purpose, loss of ambition, and loss of drive. 11, depression. This is now when you have a complete lack of passion and enthusiasm for your life. And the final stage, number 12, is burnout syndrome. And this is when you have a complete mental, physical, and emotional collapse. Some of those might feel familiar to you. Obviously, I hope they don't. But if they do, know that burnout isn't weakness. Burnout is what happens when you override your limits, override your values for too long. And if you are somewhere in that scale, especially the early stages, I have got some help on ways to act, to sort of turn the tide on what you're going through. Okay, so final lesson for today. The Hans lesson is the 3 R's of recovery. Now, let me be really, really clear. Burnout cannot be fixed with a new to-do list or a meditation app. You need a reset. It's not something you can just do over one night or over the weekend, okay? But here's where you can start. So I've got something that I like to call the 3 R's of recovery: recognize, reassess, and restore. So recognize, acknowledge the signs and symptoms. Understand that burnout is not just stress. It's your body's way of saying that something has to change. Reassess. Rethink your priorities and your boundaries. Think about your workload and how you prioritize what you do and don't do. There's something called the Eisenhower Matrix. There's one that we've developed in WorkWell called the WorkWell Meaning Matrix. Either way, think about, is it urgent? Is it important? So is it urgent and important? Do it now. If it's important but it's not urgent, schedule it and get it out of your head. If it's urgent but not important, delegate it to someone else who can do it. And if it is neither urgent or important, delete it. Don't do that. It's a waste of time. Reassessing isn't about giving up. It's about creating space for what really matters. And then the final R is restore. And this is about rebuilding your energy and balance through small, intentional, consistent acts. So think about it physically first, right? You've got to prioritize your sleep. And it's not just about the hours, it's about the quality too. There's a great book by Matthew Walker. That's a really helpful place to start. Hydration, nutrition, gentle movement. I'm not saying, go and train for a marathon, but try and get some stretches into your day. Try and get some gentle walks into your day. Get inside your body and nourish your body as much as you possibly can. It does make a big difference, and I say that from experience. Emotionally, try and carve out time to do something that you love. There's no outcome attached. You're not going to post this anywhere. It's not for anyone but you, but just try and indulge yourself in things that you genuinely like to do with no pressure attached to it, that remind you of who you are and what lights you up. And then finally, support. I cannot stress enough how important support is. So reach out to trusted friends, mentors, and this is a big one. Do not hesitate to seek out professional help. Asking for help is a strength. It is in no way any sort of failure. And again, I say this from experience. I have always struggled asking for help. I am a recovering type A. I can do it until I couldn't. It was professional help, therapy that got me into a place of finally healing from burnout. So take a breath. We've covered quite a bit today. Is this something that resonates with you? Are you somewhere in that burnout journey? How are you feeling about the ability to recover and revive your wonderful, beautiful self? How can we get you from a place of not just functioning, but thriving? How can we get you connected again? because you deserve so much more than just surviving your day. You deserve to feel like you again. So before I go, I just want to remind you that burnout is not a badge of honor. It's actually a warning light. And for many of us, it's a wake-up call. So if you recognize yourself in today's episode, I hope that you feel seen, and I hope that I've given you permission to pause and get the help that you need. Now, if you want to go deeper, I've got something called the Work Rewrite. That's a 40-day audio course, and it's designed to help people work differently and live more sustainably. You can find more information at thisisworkwell.com/work rewrite. And if you're interested, there's a discount code in the show note for summer school listeners. Until next week, work well. And remember, you don't need to be more productive. You just need to feel like you again.